Hello class, how are you? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a basic demonstration of curling iron manipulations as well as how to perform a figure eight curl. Now, as a practice, as a cold practice, what you can do is first you want to palm the curling irons in your hand like this. Then you want to place your pinky on the inside of the handle. Now, this is the proper way to manipulate the irons. You want to open and close them with your hand. The thumb is on top. Now, what I want you to practice is to be able to roll the curling irons in your hand for a period of time. You want to practice rolling them forward, and you want to practice rolling them backwards. This is going to help you to get in the habit of using your hand and your fingers, not your wrist. You want to roll the irons forward for a period of time. Then you want to roll the irons backwards for a period of time. And also, you want you to practice cold is clicking the iron with the pinky. Now, when simulating a curl or when doing a curl, you may need to add a little bit more leverage to it so you can add the ring finger in with it. But you are not to use your index finger. You're going to need that to hold the irons when you make your turn. Because when making a curl, you have to hold the iron in your hand while making the curl, keeping it away from a good distance from the scalp. But I definitely want you to practice rolling the curling irons in your hand for a while it's cold, not hot, and rolling in different directions. You may want to do that for about 20 or 30 minutes. And then from that point, then you want to practice the clicking and the turning along with the rolling. You don't want to roll your arm, because you want to keep your curling iron as level as possible. You don't want to do too much moving with the curling iron at this point. You just want to keep the irons moving on the hair as level as possible. Now, after you practice this and you became comfortable with it a small bit, then what I want you to do now is to practice the figure eight curl. Now, what is the figure eight curl? The figure eight curl is when you're trying to establish a firm curl on long hair. And the technique is found in your textbook in chapter 17. What you ought to do and how this curl is performed and always, and you have to facilitate the process of doing a curl. So you're going to use a section approximately an inch wide this way, and you're going to do an on-base curl, which you're going to hold the curl 45 degrees away. 45 degrees away. Once you take your irons from the stove, you ought to test the irons on a tissue paper or an end paper to determine how hot it is. Now, this performance that I'm doing right now, I want you to practice it cold though. But we're going to facilitate that we're using the stove. So once I take it out of the stove, I would test it on a tissue paper to see how hot it is. And what you're going to do is hold it for 5 seconds. If after 5 seconds the paper did not scorch, then you can proceed with the curl. If the paper scorches, allow it to cool a few minutes without spinning the curling iron. Just allow it to cool and then begin your curl. Now, to begin the curl, what you're going to do is you're going to place open the curling iron up, place the hair around the rod of the curl, and roll the hair over the curling iron before closing. You don't want to just clamp the curl because that's going to put a bend or a ridge in the hair. So what you want your curl to come out smooth. So you're going to wrap it around. Also, what you want to keep in mind is that you want to keep the hair out near the end of the curling iron. Once you get to this point, you're going to make a half turn, clicking and turning using the pinky. You're going to hold for 5 seconds to establish the base for where the curlers will sit. Then you're going to click and turn with the hair pulled toward the handle or toward your hand. So the hair is going to come up on the side closest to your hand. And you're going to continue the clicking and turning process. And now you're going to shift this hair to the opposite side, which is away from your hand. And you're going to click and turn until that hair comes back around. What you should see is that the hair comes up in the center of the curl. When you see this, then you have accomplished the basic fundamental for the figure eight curl. From this process, you're going to continue to click and turn until the entire strand has passed through the curling iron. But again, I want you to practice rolling the curling iron in your hand, forward and then backwards. Then practice the clicking and turning, clicking and turning, clicking and turning, using the pinky. Now, if you find that your hands are shifting up on the curling iron, when you're doing this, is moving up toward the metal, what you might want to do, just for safety purposes, just to make sure, hold your index finger out and try the rolling it and clicking and turning. If that's the case, what you're doing is, instead of rolling the iron, you're pulling it with your index finger like this. And you want to avoid doing that, because once this iron is heated up, all of the metal part itself becomes hot. But just practice the clicking, the turning, cold. Practice the figure 8 on your mannequin, cold. Again, start by wrapping the curl around the rod, click and turn with the hair facing the handle. When the hair comes around, shift the hair to the opposite end of the curling iron until it goes all the way around, and continue to click and turn until all of the hair pass through. This is your assignment that I want you to practice for the up and coming days. As of Monday, March the 30th, we will be returning back to class, and we will begin this as a practice. So please practice, practice.